Yeah, I got it.
Thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
All right, hello and welcome to the Brian Snow Show. Of course, I am not Brian Snow, but I am Chris Dietz from Fifth Down Sports, and Brian will be here. I'm just coming in out of the bullpen to pinch hit for Brian for a little bit. But on the show today, we had the news drop yesterday of Pat Fitzgerald, Northwestern head coach, being fired. And the timeline of events is very, very, very suspect. And, of course, Snowman, being a big Northwestern guy, reacted yesterday, as most Northwestern fans should have reacted, and how the media portrayed this event to make Northwestern fans react, to make the lay person react. However, what we're going to do on the show today is we're going to give you the timeline and play-by-play with JJ in the comments with us. Thank you for coming along. If you have comments as I go through this, if you have comments, put them in the comments section. We will we will address this entire scenario. As you know, I love college football. As you know, no one follows college football more than the Fifth Down Show. So if you want to get your fill of college football, you want to get the right college football news, by all means, subscribe, link, all of that stuff. All of that stuff, and as Linda just did, thank you, Linda. Pop in, check out the hit the like button. David 3000 is in with us. Look, so this scenario broke down. It started with So let's just lay the timeline out, and then we'll see if what's happened with this situation is it's like one of those paintings, and they were really popular in the 90s. I don't know if they're really popular now. I don't know. I'm not really into art, but it's like one of those paintings, where you look at it and all you see is a whole convoluted mess. But the more you focus on certain areas of the painting, you start to see the entire picture. And that's what's happening with this story, is the more you focus on it, the more you see the painting underneath that has really been, that is really being pushed. And to properly do this, it just has to be, lay the timeline out. I'll tell you what I see. And then we'll tell you what has to happen going forward. So that'll be the plan. That'll be the plan for the first hour of this show, is just laying all this out. And so we'll get to all of that as we go on here. But so this whole thing started with an article, an article that came out in the Daily Northwestern of accusations of hazing within the Northwestern program. And later on, when we look at the whole picture, we'll talk about the specifics of that argument of what was made. But an accusation was made. Now, Northwestern acted, what I would say, appropriately. They said, all right, there's accusations. We have to investigate it. Let's take a look at it. So the president suspended Pat Fitzgerald for 2 weeks without pay while we investigate, and we'll let the investigation play itself out. And while that was happening, they shut down spring practice. They shut down, current Northwestern activities, because they didn't want anything. They didn't want, if something was going on, they didn't want anything to get out. Sounds fair enough. Well, 2 days into that investigation, the president said, and I quote, I may have acted too harshly. I may have acted too hastily in my reaction to this. That tells me something came back in that investigation there was something there, but it wasn't nefarious. It wasn't to the level of absolutely insanity. That for the president to say, I acted too hastily, that says something crazy. That says that the investigation found that what that tell. But anyway, so that's what the president said. I don't know. I can't tell you. I wasn't involved in those investigations, and those are sealed investigations. I don't have access to those. If I did, I would tell you what I know. But that's all I can tell you. All I can tell you is what they give us. So he said he acted too hastily. Interestingly enough, the next day, a new accusation drops from the Daily Northwestern that not only was there hazing, but that the hazing was racially based and was racially triggered, and racism was involved. Interestingly enough, the day after that drops, Pat Fitzgerald is fired and no longer a part of the Northwestern football program. Now, let's just pump the timeline here. Hazing accusations, investigation triggered. President says there may not be any there. Racism accusations come out. Racism accusation comes out, immediate removal from the program. This is the timeline of events that has led us to where we are. Now, I need to, that's from Jamie. That's fine. All right. So following that timeline is extremely telling to what the president was thinking. And we met, I know Brian does breaks and during his show and does these. So I'm trying to fit this in with breaks. I don't know if anybody's behind it. If anybody's behind the scenes, we might just flash to commercial at some point. I cannot control the I can't control it from this element of Snowman because I'm just pinch hitting. I'm not in the command center. But that's what I want to set. I want everybody to be clear. I want everybody to be clear on the timeline before we make this. Before I jump into the deep end on this. But to be clear on the timeline, you have hazing, 2-week suspension, maybe acted hastily, racism accusation, immediate removal. Now, I see there's people in the chat. Does everybody follow the timeline, and does everybody see the problem with? Does anybody see the problem with this time? Does anybody see the problem that's been created here? Because the problem with this scenario is that the president has been clear through his actions on this. Hazing players, 2 weeks suspension, 2 weeks no pay, and we'll move on. Racism accusation, we can't have that, you got to go. None of these have been nothing has been substantiated, but they don't even want it. They don't even want to have that conversation. They don't even want to have the conversation. They don't even want to allow the conversation to come out about what is happening within their program. And if it's just hazing, if it's just kids being treated poorly and being treated the way they are, if that's the case, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry about it. But if it's racially, if there's any racial component to it, if anything about this is racial, nope. We can't have that. We can't. We're not even going to investigate it. There's a racial accusation. Get out. We can't handle it. That's a problem. That is a problem in this entire investigation. Something is going on here. Something is going on, so I've got to take a look. And something happened. Let me just make sure everything is going on. Let me see here. Let me see. Okay. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with me. All right. So, Victor, what's up? David, I see your question. I'll get to your question. I'll get to your question later on because we have to deal with this. We have to deal with this. We have to deal with this Pat Fitzgerald situation because you see how it progressed. It progressed from hazing. Oh, hazing the kids is okay. But a racial accusation is not treated in the same light. Is not given the same light. Now, here's my thoughts on this scenario. My thoughts on this scenario are, and you probably have heard this quote before. You've probably seen the movie. Just because it was in a bad movie doesn't mean it's not a good quote. Okay, so but it works here. If you take this scenario, with this scenario, there is no room for ambiguity. You have to be 100%. If there is a 1% chance that these are false accusations, you have to take them as 100% false. If there is a 1% chance that these are true, you have to treat them as 100% true. That is how you have to attack this. That is how you have to approach this from all angles. You cannot leave this as this may have happened. This may have happened. These accusations are too charging to leave them at, well, this happened and it may be racially charged. This happened and it may be hazing. No, these accusations are too problematic to be left in the realm of may or may not. It is either they happened or they didn't. And the only people who know that are the people in the locker room. The only people who know that are the people who were involved in this. And I saw Snowman's reaction yesterday to Pat Fitzgerald, and you know that's exactly what the media was trying to get at you with this. Is they were trying to emotionally charge anybody who read this story. They wanted you to have that reaction. The proper reaction is to remove emotion from this scenario. Remove emotion and start dealing with what is the facts, what is the timeline, and what is let's get to the bottom of this so that we can figure out what happened. Now, Pat Fitzgerald properly has gained legal counsel, and look, all of Pat Fitzgerald. We'll get Pat Fitzgerald out of the way because it's the easiest. It's the easiest part of this. Pat Fitzgerald is done at Northwestern. Okay, this is not Pat Fitzgerald trying to get his job back. You can once that bell's been rung, you can't unring that bell. Okay, he's done. What he has gained, why he's gained legal representation is monetarily. He's trying to preserve the money from his contract. That's what he's trying to do. There's no way he can return to Northwestern or return to Northwestern sideline ever. Okay? And that's just the reality of the situation. What Pat Fitzgerald retaining legal counsel is to preserve his contract and to say he was unrightfully fired, so he's owed X amount of dollars. That's what that's for. And I can almost say this with a certainty is if there's any evidence that they can show that Pat Fitzgerald had no knowledge of this situation until it was reported, and there was no investigation done into his firing, then his legal counsel, Northwestern's going to settle this. They're going to settle this. Pat Fitzgerald's going to get some money, and we're never going to hear that. We're never going to hear this ever again. That's what's going to happen. That's what. So when people say Pat Fitzgerald has a lawyer and he's fighting this, that has nothing to do with his coaching. His coaching, he can never return to that sideline because if I'm Pat Fitzgerald, I would never trust that president ever again. Because if Pat Fitzgerald, if they came back and said, "Oh, Pat, we investigated and we found nothing," I would say, "You put me through the ringer for this. I'm out of here. Get me away from this program." Any kid you walk into any room and say, "I'm Pat Fitzgerald, I'm head coach of Northwestern." The minute they Google you, this is what's gonna pop up, and no parent in their right mind is gonna send their kid to be under your tutelage. So there's nothing there. His ties with Northwestern are severed, and they're done. That bridge is burnt. So I'm not worried about Pat Fitzgerald. Now we can talk about all. You talk about the guy at Ole Miss a few years ago that had some of the worst recruiting violations of all time. Worst recruiting violations of all time, was dismissed and left, and basically everybody said, "Oh, he'll never coach again." 2 years later, he pops up in Liberty. He's coaching Liberty, and Liberty starts doing well. Well, guess where he's back? He's back in the SEC. So is this the end of Pat Fitzgerald's career? Absolutely not. Pat Fitzgerald will have to take this on the chin, and we'll have to go do some other things. Maybe do some television work for a year. Maybe go do some assistant coaching somewhere. Maybe land an FCS or a Division II, Division III job. Work his way back, and there's redemption there. There's redemption's available. Redemption is possible for Pat Fitzgerald if he wants it. I don't care. I don't know Pat Fitzgerald. I'm not friends with Pat Fitzgerald. All I know is he played at Northwestern. He stayed at Northwestern when he could have gone to so many other places, and they did him like this. They did him like this. Why? Because he had a 1-11 season last year. I guarantee you, Pat Fitzgerald is coming off if he was coming off a Big Ten championship berth, a Big Ten West championship, where they played in a championship game, I guarantee you none of this is going on. But that's neither here nor there. What we're dealing with is the bigger picture here. And the bigger picture was given to you by the president, that racism accusations trump hazing accusations, which to me is the big. It is. Remember, I talked about that painting. I talked about seeing the bigger picture. That's the bigger picture. The bigger picture is the people, the higher ups at these universities. You think they care about the kids? You think they care about the kids? They didn't give a damn. They didn't give a damn about hazing until there was a racial component to it, until it was racially charged. Once there was a racial accusation, it was immediate, had to go situation. That's not that. That is the complete wrong way to look at this. They should have shut this thing down from the beginning, from the jump, and said, no matter what comes out, we are going to investigate this fully, and we are going to present our investigation no matter what comes out. No matter what comes out of that investigation, we are going to present it, and we are going to act accordingly based on our investigation. That's what they should have done. That's what they should have done from the jump of this. But because they tried to finagle it and they tried to mess with this, and it just got murkier and murkier and murkier. And the murkier it gets, the more there is to this story. And that's what I have a problem with. I have a problem with this. This president was spineless. This president was an absolute, just gutless failure. Failure to be a leader. To be able to say things happened. We need to look at them. We need to investigate them, and that's where it should have gone. But the minute it went to, I may have acted too hastily. The minute he said that, I was on the lunch crew on Monday when the news broke that he may have acted hastily, and I said this. I said there's got to be more to this story. There's got to be more to this story for him to make that statement. That's what I said on the lunch crew because we hadn't gotten it yet. Hours after I said that, once the racism card got, once that card got thrown, Northwestern's hands were tied. Their hands were tied because they did not have the I don't know the proper way to put this, so I'm just going to put it the way my old high school coach used to put it. The intestinal fortitude. They did not have the intestinal fortitude to trust their investigation, trust their findings, and go with it, and see where that road led. And the media that put this out, the Daily Northwestern, I don't know the Daily Northwestern. I don't know anybody there. I don't know what their politics are about this. I don't know what their plan. I don't know what their relationship with Pat Fitzgerald is. But Snowman and I we had a conversation during a season when Pat Fitzgerald was leading Northwestern to a Big Ten West title, where major Northwestern backers were trying to push Pat Fitzgerald out then. They were trying to push him out then. So, and magically they went on to win the division, play Ohio State in a championship game. They went on to that, and you heard all of that chatter just kind of died off. However, that sentiment was still there. That was still burning. Now, whether Daily Northwestern, whether they were part of that, I don't know. All I know is it was coming from a lot of Northwestern people that Pat Fitzgerald should be removed. And Snowman and I had this conversation. We had this conversation on Snowman in the Morning multiple times of Pat Fitzgerald's job being in jeopardy, and after a 1-11 season, you have this kind of thing happen. It was a gots to go situation. It was a they got the ammo. They had the ammo to do it. They had the ammo to do it, and the sensibility was there. That's why this move happened. But if you think this is about protecting the kids, if you think this is about protecting kids, that's not what this is about. This is about the president of this university not having the guts to let an investigation play out. This is about it, and I want to be clear here. I don't care. I don't care one way or the other. I don't care if Pat Fitzgerald would have stayed the head coach or not. I don't have any dog in this fight. I don't have any dog in this fight. What I want from media like the Daily Northwestern is to get to the bottom of this story and to present all the facts of this story. Everything. Sick Diggy, I see it. I see you. Welcome to the show. Snowman will be with us within the second hour. So I'm out of the bullpen. I'm out of the bullpen here. I came in, made a spot start, and we'll get things going. But we're talking about this Northwestern situation. So let me dig. So I've done some digging, and of course, me being me, I've gotten to the bottom of more than the Daily Northwestern has done, which is shocking to me. If you're going to make these, if you're the Daily Northwestern and you're going to make these accusations, again, you need to be 100%. You need to be 100% before you made those accusations. You should have been 100%. You should have acted. If there was a 1% chance that they were false, you need to flesh that out. If there was a 1% chance that they are true, you need to find out if they're true. You need to act. You need to act accordingly. And they did not. Because they did not vet any of this. Because from what I have learned from my investigation of looking at this for the couple hours that I had between work, between jumping on here with Snowman, in just that time, I was able to find articles and reports of current Northwestern players that have said the accuser, they have literally said the accuser stated, and I quote, "I'm coming for Pat Fitzgerald's job." So the players know who made these. The players know who made these comments. The players know who it was, and they know it was somebody who had a vendetta against Pat Fitzgerald. And the timeline says that. The timeline shows that. They came out, they said, "Oh, we're gonna throw the hazing thing out there." They threw it out there. They threw that, it's like fishing. You throw the line out there. You start reeling it in a little bit. You reel it in a little bit, you realize, it's they realized, it's just, the hazing was just a boot. Just a boot on the end of the hook. Let's get that off. All right, now let's cast it farther with since our first reel didn't bring anything in, let's throw the big bait in, and let's throw the racism hook in. Now, from what I have read, the racial accusations come from a player who I you know, I don't want to put you know, I don't want to put dispersions on the accuser, okay? But listening to his version of what racism is, he needs to. I think he needs a class. He needs a class in civil liberties. He needs a class in what real race, what racism is, because his first comment was, "They made us talk like white people." Now, I don't know if you could see the picture. I don't know if you could see the color of my skin. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that comment means. What do you mean they made you talk like white people? What do white people talk like? What is that? If anybody knows, if anybody's listening, if anybody's in the chat and wants to tell me what talking like white people means, I'd love a definition of what that means, because I can tell you, I know, and a lot of a lot of people said, oh, you know, Ebonics and all that kind of stuff. I know white people that talk. I know white people that talk like that. I know black people that speak absolutely perfectly. You would think that they were a rogue scholar the way that they talk. So I don't know what talk like white people means. I have no idea. I have no idea what that means. So that's one of the charges that there was racism in the program, that they made so they made you use proper language at a collegiate university. They made you they wanted you to speak proper English. Huh. At a collegiate university. Now, the question would be, so the question you have to ask from that is, did they make everybody talk like this? Did they reprimand people for this? Did they reprimand only the minority players? Or did they reprimand everyone? Were any white players reprimanded for this? That's the crux of the issue. That's where you get into racial bias. Racial bias is in, if they did it to one, they have to do it to the other. Now, the other thing he said is they made people. I guess they made people cut their hair. They made people have a certain hairstyle. Now, again, having a policy like that is not racial. Now, people could say, "Oh, you know, I know certain cultures, they have certain affinities to their hairstyle." Sick. I am not in control of anything, so I can't send you the link. I can't send you the link. So, but right now, I'm just flying by the seat. I'm flying by the seat of my pants. So, but anyway, so again, the question is, was there a racial component? Was there a racial component to this? Did they just make the black players cut their dreads? Did they make white people did they make white players conform to this policy? Was this a policy that was given to every player, or was it just certain players? That certain players had to cut their hair, had to cut. That's what we need to know. That's what we need to know. And if they want to sit there and say, "Oh, you can't have this kind of policy," I point to one of the most prominent professional organizations, the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees have a hair, have a hair and have a facial hair and a policy. They have had a policy. George Steinbrenner put it in. He instituted it that all players have to conform to a certain standard. Wade Boggs had to shave his beard. Johnny Damon had to cut his hair. It was across the board. They did not care. They did not care. They said, we have this policy. If you're going to play for the Yankees, you're going to do this. Jason Giambi had to cut his goatee when he went from Oakland to the Yankees. Why? Because the Yankees don't allow facial hair. Look, having a policy like that is not a direct correlation to this is racially motivated. Now, it may be for you, it may be, I understand the fact that certain people, and I want to see if I can. Yeah, I can't even bring. I can't even show the comments. But Sig Diggy, you're absolutely right with earrings being banned in Cincinnati for the longest time. And remember, Eric Davis had a problem with that. But I understand that there are certain things in different cultures that have certain meaning. And at that point, you have to ask the question of, was this applied to everybody or was it just applied to certain? All right. And this is why if you throw these things out there, you have to, like I said, you have to have all of the facts behind you. You have to say, this person was allowed to do this. This person was not. Then we can make the racial correlation. But if it was a blanket policy that everybody had to follow, that's not racism. That's a policy. And if you have a problem with it, guess who you need to talk to? You need to talk to Pat Fitzgerald. You need to talk to somebody on campus. I'm sure they have a campus. I don't even know what they're called. I'm sure they have a campus liaison that you can go to, that if you don't want to make these, that you can go to and say, hey, the football team has this policy. Y'all need to look into it. And they'll send somebody to go over and talk about it. And that way you don't get ostracized. Even though in 99% of these cases, there's no reason there's no reason for anonymity, because everybody involved knows who's involved. Everybody who's involved knows who they are. That's why the players were able to say, oh, the accuser, here's what he said. So look, I'm presenting these questions. These are questions that needed to be asked before any of this came out. These are the questions that should have been asked. These are the questions that the Daily Northwestern should have had all of this stuff. They should have had all of their bullets in the chamber before they fired this gun. Because right now they fired a gun that that is smoking right now. It is a blank smoke screen right now. Because of all these questions that I've asked, that there is no answer, that they don't have an answer to. They don't. If you can't answer these questions, then this story goes nowhere. This story does nothing. This story does nothing if you don't ask these questions. And what the main question you have to ask of this accuser is, did you at any point tell anyone? Look, Brian talked about the hazing yesterday, and the hazing, I heard that from what I've heard is they had a thing called running, and their running was I guess they restrained a group of people, or they cornered a group of people, and they would go up on them, and they would, from what the article says, is that other players were grinding and dancing and performing sexual acts on the players that were deemed needing to be run on. Now, take that for whatever it is. First off, that's just dumb. That's just dumb. I can tell you, I can tell you horror stories from things that we did, things that were done. I've been a part of many sports organizations. Okay, I played high school football. I did high school track. I played American Legion baseball. I played college baseball. I played college football. I did college cross country, college track. I was part of many teams. We had many different hazing or rituals that we did, that I did as part of a lot of those teams. Most of them were innocuous. Most of them were done in fun, in fairness. And after the event, after whatever event we had, as far as in initiation, or as far as, hey, as far as any of that, every time that was done, it was done as a team bonding moment of, all right, we did this crazy, stupid thing. Y'all survived it. Everybody came together, we hugged, we laughed about it, and we tell the story. We live to tell the tale, and we move on. And everybody was like, hey, you did that. That was awesome. Good. You passed the test. Awesome. Good job. And that's what it was meant for. Hazing is not meant for, hazing is not meant for, we're going to degrade you and make you feel like you're less of a person. It's supposed to be something that, hey, everybody went through this as a freshman. Everybody went through some embarrassing moment. We live, we laugh about it, and we move on, and we become better as a team. That's what it's meant for. This doesn't feel like hazing to me. This feels like this was something that was just absolutely stupid. It just seems like it was stupid. It seems like it was divisive. It seems like it was the exact opposite of what you were trying to get across. So that's so as far as the hazing goes, that's where I have an issue. Now, the question I have to the accuser, and the question that is not asked in any, that has not been brought up in any of these articles, that has not been brought up by any of the media members talking about this, is if you had a problem with what was happening, who did you talk to? Who did you talk to before you went to the media to make this claim? Did you go to the liaison officer? Did you go to Pat did you let Pat Fitzgerald know, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not comfortable with cutting my dreads. Did you explain to anybody, this is a part of my culture. This is a part of who I am? Did you explain that to anybody? Was Pat Fitzgerald ever made aware that you had these thoughts and feelings? Because if the answer to that question is no, I didn't tell anybody, then we have a big problem. We have a big problem with your statement. Because as Snowman said yesterday, if you don't know there's a problem, how do you fix a problem you don't know about? Now, that being said, that's a question you have to have of the accuser is, who did you tell? When did you tell them? And what happened after you told them? Because that's the timeline that will tell us everything. And as far as Pat to get back to Pat Fitzgerald here for a minute, Pat Fitzgerald, the answer of I didn't know is not acceptable. Not acceptable. You are the head coach. You are the head coach. It is your job to know everything about your organization. And for this, I give you the factual evidence of, go back to Ohio State under Jim Tressel. When Jim Tressel, when Terrell Pryor and his crew were getting free tattoos, they were getting all this stuff, and Jim Tressel said, I had no idea this was going on. Well, guess what? It's your job to know that that's going on. It's your job to know. And reason why you were let go is because you didn't know. Is because everybody looked at that and said, if you didn't know, that's worse. That's worse than, well, we knew and we just didn't think it was a big deal. What is happening right now? Why is that happening? Okay. Whatever. I don't care. We'll figure it out. All right. So that's this scenario. That's where we're at right now. Where we're at right now is as I try to finish up this first hour, and I know it's been a long time. It's been a long time going. Look, I have nothing. Again, I don't have control over any of this stuff. I don't have control over the banners. I don't have control over anything. I'm just mainly here in the seat, keeping it warm for Snowman, and we'll wait till Snowman comes in, and again, David, I have no control over. I can't bring anybody in. I can't send anything out. And yeah, to address something that Snowman said yesterday, and to address the comment Sick Diggy just had. Look, as far as the Northwestern program, this is it. Look, in comparison to scandals we've seen before, this is. Snowman said this could be the death penalty. That's Snowman's emotional reaction. This is nowhere even close to the level of the Sandusky event in Penn State. Nowhere near. In that, you had actual victims being assaulted on campus. That if that didn't get if that wasn't a death penalty, the NCAA, look, the NCAA is a joke organization anyway. They basically do whatever they want, but this isn't even flying on their radar. They don't even care about. I guarantee you, they don't even care about this. Now, as far as it being a death, I mean, when you talk about a death penalty, you're talking about SMU. The NCAA has already said they're never going to give a death penalty ever again because of what it did, the devastation it did to the SMU program, and so that's never going to happen. So that's not going to happen. All right, the death penalty is not coming from this. The main thing about this is we need to get to the bottom of what is going on here. Is what I have tried to present to you is the way to go about these investigations. The way to go about it is look at the timeline and look at everything. Look at it from all sides. And that's the problem with the media today. That is the problem with trying to get to the bottom of any of these scenarios, is that they look at it from one angle. They're going to give you one angle, and they're going to bang on that angle till the end of time. Meanwhile, you have to have the backup when somebody says, well, what about this? Or when did you do that? You have to have the answer to those questions. When somebody says, who did you speak with? You have to have names. You have to say, I brought it up to so-and-so. I brought it up to this person. I brought it up to our team captain. I brought it up to all the way down the line. You have to have all of those in factual order so that we can say, all right, so that we can assess the blame to certain people. And there are things that we do. If you're doing something wrong and you do it and nobody tells you it's wrong, how are you supposed to fix what you don't know is wrong? Now, people could say, oh, well, it's common sense. It's this, I saw there was a letter from Northwestern players that said coaches were not involved in this. This was not done on site. Yes, it was done on facility, but it was done after hours. It was done when coaches were not present. Coaches did not know what was going on. Now, they might, and you can do that, to say that, he had names on the board. A captain might have gone to him, might have gone to coach and said, Coach, when somebody makes a big mistake at practice, put their name on the board. We'll take care of it. We'll take care of it in the locker room. That might have been their culture. And Pat Fitzgerald might have said, all right, they're going to handle it. I'll trust them to handle it. Now, he should have. Now, if that was the case, Pat Fitzgerald should have asked, well, how are you going to take care of it? How are you going to take care of it? And what are you going to do? And when they said, well, we're going to restrain them and have our and have certain kids grind on them and dance sexually, that Pat Fitzgerald should have looked them in the face and said, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. You guys are idiots. Don't do that. But there's no correlation. There's no record that any of that ever took place. There's no record that those conversations were ever said to Pat Fitzgerald, that Pat Fitzgerald was aware of that going on. So that's the situation. That's the situation. And the thing that bugs me is, you get all these righteous people now, all these righteous individuals that are out there saying that are out there that are oh my God, hazing is such a bad, hazing is intolerable at any level, any kind of hazing, anything. Shut up. All right. There's hazing and then there's this. Hazing, this is not hazing. This is what was happening was sexual assault. That's what was happening. There's a difference between that and between a hazing ritual of, I'll give you one of ours. One of ours that we had at the cross country team. You had to dress up. You had to, for our Halloween party, you had to come up. You had to dress up, and seniors, we made the theme, and freshmen had to dress up according to that theme. That's it. That was our hazing ritual. Was make you design your costume, but you have to come in costume, and if you didn't, you were pretty much ridiculed and you were pretty much ostracized from everybody. But most people did, and it didn't matter. We were like, all right, that was our form of hazing. And when everybody did it, we were like, oh, remember when you were this? We lived through it. We had good laughs with it. It brought us together as a team. That's what hazing is supposed to do. In high school, we had to put on for the football team. We had I don't even know if they do these anymore, but we used to have what was called 3-a-days, and we had them back to back 3-a-day practices, and at the last one we had a team dinner, and the hazing ritual for all the sophomores, because obviously in high school sophomores were considered the freshmen, so new members to the varsity program, if you were new to the program, you had to perform a skit, had to perform a certain skit at the dinner in front of everybody, whether it was karaoke, whether it was a performance to certain songs, whether it was a comedy skit. I remember we made Dario because he could do impressions. We made him do impressions of all the coaches. That was his skit. And so yeah, there was a group of guys that had to sing Britney Spears, and they had to act it out, and they had to do that. Now, again, after it was done, nobody was like, "Oh, it was like you did that. You're horrible." After it was done, we were like, "Yo, that was hilarious. You sing awful. What you just did to Britney was absolutely you destroyed the song. What is wrong with you?" And we came together as a team after it. It was not something that was done like, you had to do this. That was your punishment. It was, all right, you got, yeah, it was punishment when you were going through it. But once you got through it, all right, we're done. I remember during spring practice one year, we had a bunch. If you dropped a pass as a wide receiver, they would dump. After practice, they would dump the water. They would dump the water bucket over you. That was what happened. That's what that yeah. Was it? So if you dropped the pass, you lined up, and they just dumped the bucket over everybody. that was something we did during spring practice. And, after it, we all looked at each other and said, let's not drop any more passes. Like, let's not go through this again. So, and after it, the people who dumped it, they weren't like, you guys did. They were like, hey, they're like, you got through it. We wipe the slate. We wipe the slate clean, and we start again tomorrow. And we're back. Well, you got through it. Now you're riding with it. It was a team bond. It was in the form of team bonding. It was not in the form of we need to put this guy down because he's not fitting into our program. That's not the point. The point is to bring the team together, to give them something. We want to live in this world where there are no consequences. It's a way to make consequences for something you do. Now, if you feel that something is completely out of bounds, there are people that you need to tell. You need to speak up at that moment. You need to tell somebody you trust. I don't like this. I don't like what's going on here. This has gone too far. This has gone too far. And you need to tell the people involved. Like I said, there are always liaison officers. There are always people that you can bring these things to. And that's where the disconnect in this story is. So that's what we got going on. All right, it is 10 after the hour. I am waiting. I'm waiting on to see if Snowman gets in. I think I've banged on. I think I've beaten this horse enough. So let me get back to the chat here, and let me get back to David's comment from before, and it's way back here, and here we go. So David asked, for college football, what do you think is the best team in college football right now? Boston College, UConn, Northeastern, UMass, Maine, Central Connecticut. When you bring up New England, the best team in New England right now, the best team in New England is not on that list. The best team in New England is an FCS program, and it's New Hampshire. New Hampshire at the FCS level is, I believe, the paper I was looking at had them ranked 7th in the FCS coming into the season. They're poised to make the FCS playoff. They usually, when they get in, they usually have a pretty good run. Typically, as a program, they're the best program in New England. University of New Hampshire has a great program. They have a track record. They actually send kids to the NFL mostly. So UNH is a very good program. As far as Division I is concerned, you're talking about UConn and UMass. Well, UMass is the worst program in Division I football. Right now they're ranked 132 out of 132. As far as what they got going, I believe they're in the. If they're still in the MAC conference, I believe they're still in the MAC conference, and they can't get. They're basement dwellers in the MAC. UConn after some shaky seasons, after some, they got Jim Mora in there. They brought Jim Mora in, and Jim Mora turned him around. UConn went to a bowl game last year. That's where UConn is at. UConn is not at the level of when Dan Orlovsky was here and they were playing in the Fiesta Bowl. That was the heights of UConn football. Where UConn is at now, they made a bowl game last year and it was amazing. And I forget the bowl game that I played in. I think it was in Carolina. I know they played one of the early bowl games in Carolina. I forget which one it was. But that's a great season for UConn. For UConn, making a bowl game is the essential. Now, when you look at the ranking for UConn, I think I just looked it up. I think they were like 103 out of the 132. So when you're talking about New England college football, hey, New England's not a college football place. Boston College, we talk about Boston College. I tend to forget that Boston College is in New England because they play in the ACC, which is, as we know, why they're in the ACC, I have no idea. But no, Boston College, they lost Phil Jurkovec. Phil Jurkovec had an awful season last year. He's transferred, moved on. So Boston College is in a series of transition, and I think it's going to be a bumpy road in the ACC this year. Eagles Uncensored, what's up, brother? So all of that going on. All right, it is almost 5:15. I've been talking for an hour now. I have to send a message to Snowman because unfortunately – Unfortunately for me, I have to leave to get to work. I have to go to my real job tonight. So I have to. I will have to leave. I will have to leave the show here. With all the stuff that we talked about in this first hour, if you want to get more into this. If you want to get more into this, more college football from anybody, more college football, by all means, jump on, subscribe to the Fifth Down Sports Show. We will be all over college football this year. And on a positive note, because we talked about all this negative crap before, but on a positive note, Saturdays, Snowman and Fifth Down will be presenting a game of the week. We will pick a game each week, and we have a lot of games to choose from, a lot of things. Snowman will be doing the play-by-play. Fifth Down will be providing the analysis, and we will be giving you college football the way college football is supposed to be presented, with love, passion, with all of that. We will be breaking it all down. Of course, we will have our show on Thursday nights on the Fifth Down. We'll be doing the Fifth Down show where we talk about best and worst of the weekend. We always do this. We always talk. We do it every week. Every week we talk about the best things we saw and the worst things we saw. And it's not, oh, this guy threw 6 interceptions. Like, that's not what I'm talking about when I'm talking about worst. Usually what we talk about when we talk about worst things of the week, it's usually something we see, whether it's a reaction a guy has to throwing an interception, or whether it's a blow up on the sidelines with players and coaches, whether it's interactions with the crowd, whether it's something that happens in the stands where some kind of ridiculousness happens. That's what we look for. And we look for the best things in college football, which are, when a guy scores a touchdown and gives the ball to a cancer patient that's right there. Those are the things we try to highlight. We don't just try to highlight, oh, this guy ran for 4 touchdowns. No, he ran for 4 touchdowns, and every touchdown went to, a different charity case. Those are the kinds of things we try to bring up. on Fit Down Sports Show. So I'm just trying to send a message here. So, because I gotta go to work. I actually have to go. I have to pick up. I have to do a lot of stuff. I have to pick up some lunch something for lunch later on because I jumped on here instead of preparing my lunch for tonight. But I'm okay with that because I can stop by the deli and get something good, and instead of something crappy that I made. So that's okay. We're happy. We're happy to do it. We're thankful to Brian for letting us fill in. Again, I apologize to any of the sponsors or whatever. I have no access to the banners, so I can't play anything. So I just tried to fill the time. But on that note, everybody, totally Dietz tomorrow on Snowman. Obviously, I was trying to get this Pat Fitzgerald stuff out of the way so that we don't have to talk about it tomorrow. Tomorrow on the show, I will tell you this, and I hope you're listening. I have some words for the man who runs No Credentials Required. I have a message for you based on your most recent program. So if you haven't caught No Credentials Required, go subscribe to No Credentials Required. Check out the last episode. You might know what's coming. You might know what's coming down your way. But I will address you on Totally Dietz tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. Hopefully we get to talk about Coach Prime. Hopefully we get to talk about some other things with college football as we get closer to the season here. Hopefully I've gotten everything straight on this Pat Fitzgerald situation. Just to close it out. Look, I don't care. I don't care about Pat Fitzgerald getting his job back. I want to get to the bottom of this scenario. I want to get this all fleshed out and look, are we going to say, are we going to stop hazing? No, you're never going to stop hazing, bullying, all of that. You're never going to stop it. It's always going to be there. The key is reaction to it. Reaction to this. What's the reaction? If the reaction is outrage and scream about it for a week, well, guess what? Nothing's going to get fixed. The reaction has to be, we need to put policies in place to make sure that this doesn't happen. Now, to make sure that it doesn't get out of control the way it did here. And that's the point that the media misses on. The media wants to use this story to capitalize on whatever agenda they have going on. And I highlighted it before. The agenda was to get to the race card, to throw racism out there, to show, see, it's racism. They wanted to cry racism, but they couldn't do it from the beginning. So they had to soften the blow with the hazing and then come in with the hammer. Snowman, what's happening, man?
I never thought of that. I never thought of the 1-2 punch.
It was my immediate reaction when the guy said, the president said, "Oh, I may have acted hastily." And then a day later, the next day, boom, they hit you with, well, there's a racism component to this. Yeah. The next day after they released that, within hours of that, Pat Fitzgerald gone. Fired. Pat Fitzgerald is fired. The minute racism came in, he was, when it was just hazing, 2 week suspension, and we'll deal with it. The minute racism came in, nope, gone.
He's gone.
Get out. We're not having this. We're not having this discussion anymore.
And they brought the evidence of hazing. Why didn't they just stick with the suspension when everything else started coming out? Or lengthen the suspension.
Those are the questions. Those are the questions, and I those are the questions I posed in the first hour.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew? When did they know? And what did they do?
Yeah,
those are the questions, and that's the sequence of events that need to be fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the Daily Northwestern, and props to them for jumping on this story.
Yep.
But they dropped they basically just threw a grenade and said, "Here you go," because they don't have the answer to any of those questions. Any of those questions have not been answered.
No,
and they're not. And the thing is, the funny thing is, nobody's asking them because we have to protect whistleblowers. We don't want to throw. No, you threw this bomb. Come give us everything.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Who'd you tell about it? And what'd you know? Because you said it yesterday. Pat Fitzgerald. How can Pat Fitzgerald fix a problem? If he doesn't know there's a problem, how can he fix it?
How can he fix it?
And so
how can he fix the problem that he doesn't know about?
That's the one question I would have for the accuser is, did you ever tell Pat Fitzgerald about this? Did you ever tell your liaison, hey, this stuff's going on. This stuff's going on. Y'all need to investigate it. Who did you tell? Who did you tell in the chain of command so we can find out where the weak link is? And that's not to absolve Pat Fitzgerald, because Pat Fitzgerald, you're the head of the program. You should, what you didn't know, you should have known. And because you didn't know, that's why you're in the situation you're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
this is not to absolve Pat Fitzgerald, but somebody dropped the ball somewhere on the chain of command.
The ball was dropped on at many points. And the point of this should be to fix the links in the chain.
Yeah.
But but again, that's not the media's plan. They don't care about that.
No, they don't.
They don't care about fixing the problem. They care about, we need to point out the problem so that we can keep using it. And that's where I have a problem, because as I said, if you're going to do this story, you have to treat it. If there is a 1% chance that's a false accusation, you have to treat it as 100% false and look at it from that angle of, all right, we need to flesh this out so that if somebody comes at us and says, hey, this story's false, we can say, no, it's not. Here's the evidence we have. The same thing at the other end. If it is 1% true, if there's 1% truth to this, you have to treat it as absolutely true.
Absolutely true.
And flesh out everything and say, hey, when somebody says, no, this really happened, you need to say, no, that never happened, because if it did, here's the protocol X, Y, and Z that would have happened, and it didn't. And that's how we know that this didn't happen. None of that's being fleshed out. None of that's being pointed out. And why I'll leave you with this. And Snowman, thank you for letting me roll and go off on this, because I've been waiting all day to go off on this.
I appreciate you.
Here's the thing that they were waiting to do. They were just waiting to get to the race card. That was all they were trying to do. That was all they were trying to do. This whole scenario was set up so that they could roll out, there's racism in college football. And I if you're shocked by that, I don't know what to tell you. I would just say, you sweet summer child. Welcome to the real world.
Yeah, did not shock me. Did not shock me at all. That's Chris Dietz. He pinch hit for me while I had to handle some things. I appreciate you, Dietz, so very much. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank
absolutely, man. And totally Dietz Thursday. We'll get into some other stuff tomorrow, because I'm done talking about Pat. I'm done talking about Pat Fitzgerald until the next shoe drops. But I'm I don't know what that's going to be, but we'll figure that out. But we'll talk tomorrow. We'll talk tomorrow about plenty of other stuff going on.
Yeah, we got plenty of stuff to get to. Thank you.
Like I said, no credentials required. I'm coming at you tomorrow. That's the teaser. That's the teaser. I'm coming at you tomorrow.
Oh boy, you're gonna bring out the fighting McCarthy. I know that. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right. Chris Dietz, pinch hitting for yours truly while I had to run around and get some things taken care of. I appreciate him so very much. A pause and we'll come back and we're just going to have some fun for the final half hour of the program. Back after this. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up. Bang! Quality over quantity. LeBron has beaten some of the best competition in NBA history. He's the GOAT emoji. I will not cuss. I will not cuss. I will not swear. I will not swear.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
I'm going to ask you a little bit on horseback. Thank you to Chris Dietz for pinch hitting for me while I had to run around and take care of some things. Everything is still not done, but I just want to thank Dietz for doing this for me. Portions of today's show is brought to you by Recruiting Giants. Our mission is to connect exceptional talent with exceptional companies. We strive to provide innovative and tailored staffing solutions to help organizations build successful teams. By leveraging our expertise and extensive network of industry professionals, we aim to drive growth, foster long-term partnerships, and positively impact the success of both our clients and candidates. We are dedicated to delivering exceptional service, exceeding expectations, and becoming the preferred staffing partner for business looking to recruit top talent. For more information, email Mark Zanetto at info@recruitinggiants.com or call 336-587-3659. That's 336-587-3659. Recruiting Giants, where talent meets opportunity. Okay. Netflix has a new docuseries called Quarterback. And it follows Pat Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. I'm going to repeat that. Pat Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. Anybody see anything wrong with this picture? Why are you following? Why are you following Marcus Mariota, who didn't even finish the season as the starter? Didn't even finish this season as a starter, and you're going to highlight him? What? Why? Just plain why? What the hell are y'all thinking? Now I'm anxious to see how they do this because it's produced in conjunction with NFL Films and Omaha Productions, which is Peyton Manning's production company. Manning is listed as an executive producer on the project. In interviews with Netflix, he gave an idea of what viewers can expect. Are they hanging out? Are they playing golf? Are they in the weight room and grinding and watching film and grinding for that next game? Which is the answer, by the way, and not to give it away. There is no golf in the season. Since winning the profile they put on Marcus Mariota, since winning the Heisman Trophy in 2014 and being drafted by the Tennessee Titans with the second overall pick in 2015, Mariota has had an uneven career. In his first season with the Falcons, he posted a 5-8 record, passing for 2,219 yards and 15 touchdowns. Some of the things viewers will see: how each quarterback deals with the physical nature of football and how they take care of their bodies. Cousins will be 35 at the beginning of next season and hires a chiropractor and a masseuse to help with the soft tissue issues. Try and say that 5 times. Mahomes has his own personal trainer, and Mariota goes the way of a private chef to help maintain his diet to keep him in top physical condition. Now they got me curious. Now they absolutely got me curious. But you had to get Marcus Mariota? You had to get Marcus Mariota. Why? Why did you have to get why Marcus Mariota? You couldn't get Jalen Hurts? I would suggest Brock Purdy would have been a good candidate. Brock Purdy would have been a better candidate. Period. Brock Purdy would have been a much better candidate. I'm sorry. Brock Purdy would have been a much much better candidate, even given the injury that he suffered in the NFC Championship game. You could have followed his meteoric rise. Hell, you could have followed the comeback story of Geno Smith. You could have followed that story. But you didn't, did you? No. There's so many other stories you could have followed instead of Marcus Mariota. So many other stories you could have followed instead of Marcus Mariota. Really? And Kirk 2 Chainz Cousins. Thank you, Ben Sutter, for that. And Kirk 2 Chainz Cousins. That draws my interest right there. That draws my interest right there. To see how he handled that final play against the Giants. You know, you could have put Dak Prescott in that equation. You could have put Dak Prescott in there. Would love to have seen how he handled the final play. Would have loved to have seen how he would have off the field, I beg your pardon, handled that final play in San Francisco, or Santa Clara to be technical. But Marcus Mariota? Really? Marcus Mariota. Good grief. Slide up the chat. Who would you have liked to have seen in this docuseries besides Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota? And Sick Diggy, you just posed a great question. Were Josh Allen and Justin Herbert approached for this series? Was Lamar Jackson available? So many other many other ways you could have handled this. And so many other candidates that you could have chosen for this. Couldn't do Deshaun Watson because he was embroiled in controversy. Right there. Excuse me. But who would you guys like? Excuse me. I beg your pardon. Who would you guys like to have seen in the places? That's what I get for drinking water too fast. Of Kirk Cousins and Marcus Mariota. Definitely candidates better than them. Definitely candidates better than them. All right, looking for the best way to experience live events? Well, SeatGeek has you covered. With just a few taps on your phone, you can find the best seats for concerts, sports, theater, and more. Don't miss out on the unforgettable moments. Excuse me. Download the SeatGeek app today and get ready for an experience like no other. Each ticket is vetted for authenticity and ranked on a 1 to 10 scale. And right now, if you use the code Snowman, you will get $20 off your first purchase. That's only through the power of SeatGeek, where fans can fan. I'll be back. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
You've done the hard part. You quit smoking. Now do the easy part and get scanned for lung cancer. If you smoked, you may still be at risk, but early detection could save your life. Talk to your doctor and learn more at savedbythescan.org.
If you talk and they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
He was only 58 years old when he passed away. That outcome could have been different.
Colorado happens to be one of the worst states for radon levels.
It's in our ground, and it seeps up.
The more you breathe radon, the more chance you have of DNA being hit and the cell mutated. The EPA estimates 22,000 lung cancer deaths a year caused by radon.
We all make choices. When it comes to alcohol, kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad.
Bye-bye.
Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Have fun. Hey, have a seat for a second. Remind me about that party again?
Alex is just...
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. They want guidance and honest answers to their questions. And it makes a difference when the message is consistent and part of everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.
Down the stretch we come on the Brian Snow Show. And thank you to, once again, to Christy for pinch hitting while I was doing some running around. I got something to do at the top of the hour, so I'm going to close up shop early. It's a very important meeting, but I want to do this. Attention sports fans looking for the ultimate gear and apparel to show your team pride. Look no further than Fanatics, the #1 destination for sports enthusiasts. Visit snowmanmultimediasports.com/fanatics today and shop a wide selection of officially licensed merchandise from your favorite teams, from jerseys to hats to accessories to collectibles. Fanatics has it all. Don't miss out on the chance to elevate your game day experience. Head over to snowmanmultimediasports.com/fanatics today and gear up like a true fan with Fanatics. Officially license everything. Now, to close up shop, and I hate to unfortunately do this, we're probably going to do more of it tomorrow. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, not to be confused with Benny and the Jets, have been chosen to be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks. Why? Why? That's all I got to say. Just why? I mean, like I asked in the last segment, you couldn't feature another team? Really? And to answer your question, Sick Diggy, Aaron Rodgers has this project. Hell, the Jets are a project. Let's just be real about it. But let's just be real about it. The Jets are a project in and of themselves. Were the 49ers or Chiefs not interested? Or the Eagles? I don't know. I truly don't know. I just don't know. I don't get it. I just don't get it at all. I don't get this thing. I don't get this thing. That you have to choose. The news is not yet official. The person was granted anonymity. Say that 5 times. HBO had no comment, no premiere date, or viewing schedule has been set. And they'll look at the NFL set to receive the look at the most intriguing training camp with Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. HBO Hard Knocks. What the hell are you going to do that for? The Jets were selected from a group abiding by traditional Hard Knocks selection criteria, including the Chicago Bears, the New Orleans Saints, and the Washington Redskins. The Detroit Lions were the team featured in 2022. HBO has also aired an in-season version of the show in recent years. Parts of the Arizona Cardinals season were chronicled last year. I believe one year they chronicled the Indianapolis Colts in season. I want to say that was 2020 when they did that. I want to say it was 2020 when that happened. They're going to follow Aaron Rodgers. HBO Hard Knocks is going to follow Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. Why? Just why? For those of you that are watching via YouTube, you saw the thumbnail. Green with no envy. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. Props to Aaron Rodgers' rep or the Jets rep, for that matter, for securing this deal with HBO. True. But still, Aaron Rodgers, I don't know. Let's go to some comments in the Fanatic feedback zone to wrap things up. How about Baker Mayfield, just for the laughs, when we were talking about the Netflix series quarterback? Eagles Uncensored in the house. What's good with you? It's good to see you. Thank you to everybody that was being patient. Thank you, David. Sick Diggy is all over the place today. Earrings were banned in the Cincinnati Reds organization. Talking with Dietz earlier. In Japan, foreign baseball/soccer players have to cover up their tattoos. Tattoos are still associated with the Yakuza in Japan. That's why they cover them up. Love that. And thank you to Victor Locke for hopping in today. Lisa Stark makes her debut in the Fanatics feedback zone. Play-by-play with JJ in the house with us as well. After the huddle, friend of the show. Shout out to everyone watching. Thank you, After the Huddle, for coming on and showing love to this program and showing love to the folks in the Fanatics feedback zone. And it's just about toward the top of the hour. I'm going to say this: sports bettors, listen up. Your favorite sports book, BetUS.com, is back in our 30th year of action with live in-game betting, incredible odds, daily odds, boosters, props, and parlays, fast payouts, and exceptional one-to-one customer service. We got it all. And when you sign up and use the code Snowman, you will get a 125% deposit match. Log on to BETUS.com or call 800-792-3887, 800-79-BETUS, BetUS.com, where the game begins. All right. I can't thank Chris Dietz enough for pinch hitting for me while I got some things situated. I hope y'all had fun with Dietz and showed him the love that he deserves. Tomorrow, I'm going to break up the NBA in-season tournament. And hour 2 tomorrow will feature Brian Sweeney and Michael Burmy from the Women's Football Alliance as they prepare for their championship weekend in Canton, Ohio. Y'all don't want to miss these interviews. We recorded them in advance, but y'all don't want to miss these interviews. They were a lot of fun, very informative, and Snowman Multimedia may be involved with the Women's Football Association very, very soon. You never know. You never know. My time is up. Hope you all enjoyed it as we enjoyed bringing it to you. Let me say God bless. Thank you all for joining me, and I will see y'all tomorrow, especially during hour 2 for the Women's Football Alliance Takeover. So long, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into The Brian Snow Show, where sports is the base, life and fun are the results.